Second November, 3:38 p.m. at Sholmes' suite. I still can't quite believe what just happened. I know, I inquired to the bailiff after the court session was over, and it seems Mr. Vigil was taken to the hospital to recover. Right. 10 years ago now, Mr. Vigil attempted to commit suicide by jumping out the window of the prison governor's office. But ever since then, he's completely blocked the memory of these events from his mind. Nobody knew his secret, not his family, not even the man himself, but I forced it out into the open. Was it wrong of me to do that? Did I overstep the mark, I wonder? Funny how it starts gossip on there, even though it's been established that it's really daily vigil. Bruno! Oh, Iris! You're miles away. Anyway, I've brewed a fresh pot of soup and tea for you. Oh, thank you. You and Susie have had an exhausting day so far, haven't you? Oh! Thank you, Iris. How thoughtful of you. Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is? When we came out of the courtroom back into the defendant's antechamber, he disappeared. Oh, no, I don't know. He just suddenly sprang to his feet and left. All he said was, I must leave. Gotta be honest though, when it comes to East 9, I honestly don't want it to end looking at Krish's reaction to Adol leaving. Because he's the one who helped her find herself. So to have the figure then leave you. It's a pretty painful blow. I'm hoping that the real Monstrums, can't really call them just normal Monstrums, make an appearance in the East 10 at some point, because Doll's a human now, and Jules can walk. His paralysis is cured, so it'd be nice to be able to bump into them again. After all that's changed in the time lapse. But I'm honestly disappointed that you weren't given the option to ask if she wanted to come with you. But I guess the reason why I sympathise is because I was like her growing up. Introverted, never going about things the right way, never thinking before acting. Wait, while I'm talking about East 9, oh yeah, finishing my review about it. There are mysteries in this world that should perhaps never be solved. I hate the game for not giving you that option. There are mysteries in this world that should perhaps never be solved. Hmm? But the construction of a solution comes only at the expense. What does that mean? He knows very well that when you open someone else's old wounds, you often open your own too. He just can't take his own advice and leave well alone. Solving mysteries is too important to him. That's so true. And that's what I like about Hurley after all. I suppose that's a lot of a great detective in some ways. So then, Let's have tea, and then I'll give you a hand. Oh, do you have time, Ice? Yes, I finished this novel's manuscript at last. Barely a day to spare before the deadline. Oh, I'm so looking forward to it. Brand new story to read in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. You know, I always hide Hurley's violin in the days before I have a deadline. You do? Poor Mr. Sholmes. I'm sure that's very wise, Iris. How sensible of you. But yeah, like I was saying before, ES9, the reason the game's still out is because, well, never mind. Didn't mean still out in that sense. Well, actually it was addressing people's internal struggles, because there was this conflict with his dad, Credo's often over aggressive behaviour, Fisher's shyness, who else? Oh yeah, and Yufa's familial conflict. That, along with Adol being branded a criminal value throughout the duration of the game. It's a good way to address common issues, in a sense. And the map actually stood out more because it's not like ES8, where the map was huge. It was mostly Balduke, and then there was a few regions outside, making it easier to go back when you'd finished doing work. I mean, I'm finding any lost graffiti in that. Now, regardless. Now then, my dear fellows, let's make a plan of action before we continue our investigation. This morning's trial. So, how did it go in court this morning? Well, we still don't know the truth about what really happened. One thing's increasingly clear. Roller Forensics definitely didn't do it. Oh, goody. God, why do I keep saying Van instead of Van? Yes, that's right. We managed to uncover several new facts as well. Oh, really? And that was another development too. Yes, it's quite clear now that Cosmo-sama is not himself. The way he's acting, it's almost as if he's possessed. No, Susato, you've got it the wrong way round. This is who he truly is. I know, I mean, at the end of the proceedings earlier, it was like a bloodhound the way he was chasing down Mr. Vigil's forgotten past. He's not normally so mercilessly persistent. Well, yeah, he didn't have his public face on then. The version of him, the fleeing version you saw around the time of your trial was just an act. What's going on in his head, I wonder? I need to sit down with Cosmo and try to understand what he's going through. If Gregson was really murdered the day before his body was discovered, then Lord Van Zieks has to be innocent, you see. What? The day before? Well, that should be easy enough to work out. Just by examining the corpse, Shirley. Yeah, and don't call me Shirley. Yes, you would expect so, but seriously. Okay, enough talking about ES9. Like I said, it's probably because a lot of the characters just reminded me of myself. No time of death was included in the autopsy report. Half is curious. There's still unanswered questions about Lord Von Zeeks, aren't there? Ah, do you mean... I mean, what was he doing now on Fresno Street that day in the first place? Well, according to the man's testimony, he said he was investigating Inspector Gregson, didn't he? It turns out that little room was actually the Inspector's secret office. Oh, that sounds like it has all the makings of a wonderfully devilish plot. But then why was that notice board in there covered in all those particular papers? Papers about cases were linked to the Reaper. I'm starting to get a bad feeling about all this. Oh dear, that sounds more like something horribly devilish. We must start by looking into Inspector Gregson's movements of late. I never imagined I might have to be investigating an inspector's movements. Well, according to the entry in his diary, he was carrying out an incognito investigation of the Red-Headed League the day before his death. Oh, you mean he was doing the same as Hurley? Well, Mr. Sholmes was trying to reply, whereas the inspector was supposed to be investigating. I do wish it had been the other way around. Anyway, as it turns out, the inspector who went to investigate the Red-Headed League that day wasn't actually Gregson at all. It was Mr. Vigil, in possession of Gregson's identification. You know what that sounds like to me? Establishing an alibi. Oh my! Yes, you're absolutely right, Iris. But why would Gregson need an alibi? It appeared that the inspector had something to do that I wish to keep secret. I don't believe it. I always thought he was just a harmless lover of fish and chips. But perhaps they were seasoned with something a little more potent than salt and vinegar. I think perhaps we should try to move away from food analogies. Well, anyway, if Lord Von Zeeks felt the need to investigate Gregson, yes, I agree. We must try to find out what he knows. Vigil, you say? Isn't that the name of the lady who came to visit Hurley yesterday? That's right. To ask Mr. Sholmes if he would help her to find her missing husband. Mr. Sholmes completely passed the buck to us. Actually, didn't you say that Mr. Vigil had been taken to hospital? Do you know which one? Ah, it's St. Sinners. I'm starting to wonder if all the other hospitals in London have closed down. But that's amazing, Bruno. You found Lady's husband already. Well, I suppose I have, by accident. And 10 years ago, while Mr. Vigil was the chief ward at the prison, he was responsible for overseeing the professor's incarceration. No! So when the convict escaped, he was held responsible and immediately dismissed. Sometimes I really don't want to grow up. There's more. For 10 years after that, while he was ostensibly working as a peddler, he also had another secret job. He was paid by Gregson via stand-in to impersonate the inspector. To impersonate Gregson? But why? I have absolutely no idea. Gee was right. I'm starting to think all of those up to no good now. Hey! Well, yeah, I see your point, but I've never had faith in Britain's judicial system myself. But it feels, because sometimes it feels more like it's more about their own popularity than it is anything else. It is actual, I don't know, justice. Including you, man. I haven't paid anyone to impersonate me. That means he has ties to the professor and to Inspector Gregson now. So I do think we ought to pay a visit to Mr. Vigil, don't you? Back to St. Sinners then. Well, I think it's clear what we need to do, isn't it? Let's investigate, my dear fellows. Now, Iris, you're even more enthusiastic than usual today. If anyone's anything to hide, my special Wilson shooting iron will soon send them. Really? Nah, water pistol? It's a for a piping hot extra special blend of mine. I'm quite sure it'll be very effective. Very careful on fire heating. Well, it even feels a little strange that Mr. Sholmes is nowhere to be seen, but still. God, my voice cracked when I said well. Let's go and see what we can find out. Yes. Present. Iris, about this. Oh no, what was I thinking? Why did I have to show that? Poor Grexy. Iris, have a look at this. That's not right. I thought you were supposed to say objection or like when you present evidence. No, that's only in court. That's not fair. If you want to say it, then I won't look.
Objection!
Yay, that was great. Right, next. Alright, I get the message. Someone's not in the mood for looking at things. Oh, this looks like it's made from real human hair. I thought it might be. Yes, people will pay money for long hair that's in good condition. I once offered his hair up for sale, you know. He grew it right down to his shoulders. Really? How much does he make? No one would buy it. Oh. I was told it was unruly, apparently. Oh, maybe I'd better give up on the idea as well. That makes me glad that I cut mine short now. Iris, have a look at this. Listen. Oh god, here we go again.
Objection! Objection!
Objection! Yay, that was great. Right, thanks. Whatever. Moving on. 2nd November. British Supreme Court. Lord Chief Justice's office. No arguments, Prosecutor Asogi. You will continue with the trial exactly as I instructed. Is that clear? Perfectly. It's Kazuma-sama. Fine Lord Strongheart by the sound of it. He never did know when to back down. On your way now, Asogi. My lord. Kazuma! He left without saying a word. Yes? What are you doing here? Oh, I was just hoping to ask you a few questions, if you wouldn't mind. I wanted Von Zeke's trial concluded today. But Prosecutor Asogi's unwelcome inquiries are going to make it take longer than necessary. Unwelcome inquiries? As a result, I'm losing even more precious time. Currently 2 hours, 55 minutes and 41 seconds. 42, 43. We get it! And we must resolve everything before 3 hours have passed, Mr. Naruhodo. Miraculous 95 minutes? Anyway, I can't have a man's obvious bad mood coming off. Need information. Converse. Does Prosecutor Asogi believe that Lord Von Zeeks is the Reaper? I wouldn't know. It was 10 years ago, in that fateful close trial, that Lord Von Zeeks made a name for himself among the judiciary. But the next trial he fought, he lost. It meant the ringleader of a criminal organization was acquitted, thanks to all the jurors being under duress. But that's awful. The man's freedom was short-lived. It lasted just 3 days. Yes, let me see. He died in a rock slide at his place of work, I believe. Correct. That was the believe Lord Von Zieks was responsible. He was brought to trial himself, but he was shown to have been an accident. So he must have had a solid alibi then. Nevertheless, the mysterious deaths continued. In total, 16 persons perished in unusual circumstances, ostensibly at the hand of the Reaper. That's a long run of coincidences. Well, the Reaper's true identity may well be revealed by this trial, and the impact that revelation will have on the British public cannot be understated. Is that why it's a closed trial? Precisely. This country hasn't seen a closed trial for 10 years. So the last one was the Professor's, the trial of Genshin Asogi? Correct. Actually, we heard that originally you were going to prosecute that trial yourself, Lord Songhar. Von Zieks entreated me to relinquish the prosecution to him, that he might avenge his brother's death. And here we are, 10 years later. When the son of the man Von Zieks had condemned, now looking to avenge his father's death in the same way. They do say that what goes around comes around. However, it would seem that the new young prosecutor is harboring some ulterior motive as well. Cosmo is. I like my organisation to run smoothly in the exact manner that I prescribe. As with the giant clock in here, I won't tolerate a single cog being out of step with the others. So that's what these guys are about in here. If the young man refuses to mesh with the other parts of my great machine, I'll be forced to take steps. What do you mean? That's something with which you need concern yourself. In any case, all your questions will be answered tomorrow. Now, I shall have to ask you to excuse me. As of this moment, I've been delayed from attending my next meeting by precisely 3 hours. Oh my, that is a long time! And I hold you entirely responsible. Even though we miraculously managed to fit everything in not even 5 minutes? I wonder if you might agree to us, talking with Prosecutor Asogi? Discussions between the defense and the prosecution outside the courtroom are generally frowned upon. However, I will make an exception in this case. Now go. You can find him in his office. Oh, thank you. Let's go to see him at once, Miss Naruhodo. Cosmo's my best friend in the world, but I'm really not at all sure I know how to talk to him at the moment. You're sure you're not even sure you know him, you mean? Second November, Prosecutor's Office. So, this is the office of Prosecutor Asogi now, is it? Cosmo-san is doing so well for himself. Even though he's always forced to kneel on the floor Japanese style in the dark corner. It's his habit to say the style whenever he's working. Well, it looks like our journey here was wasted. The prosecutor appears to be out. Perhaps we should discuss things with another prosecutor we know first. Von Zieks? Lord Von Zieks is reading, look. Doesn't seem like he wants visitors, does he? But he must have noticed that we're here, surely. What do you nip in the ears with? That's no way to greet a lawyer who's trying his hardest to prove your innocence, is it? Perhaps not. I apologize. So, what can I do for you, Mr. Nalhoda? Lord Van Zeek, speaking honestly. All the fog will lift over. Well done, you two. This does feel very, very strange. I must say, I was impressed. Oh, well, thank you. Not by you, by your fellow Nipponese, your prosecutor friend. Oh, I see. Yes. It's odd enough, don't you think? For a man such as me, so loathing of Nipponese, entirely at the mercy of the two of you. I suppose it's retribution. Part? Nah, converse. You once told me that you gladly allowed people to believe you're the Reaper because it helped reduce the amount of serious crime that took place in London. For keeping quiet and playing the part benefits the cause, a cause I myself am committed to pursuing, then why would I choose to say anything? But the henchman of a criminal killed by the Reaper attacked you only the other day. And that was just the most recent of many attempts on your life, wasn't it? Someone is clearly profiting from your silence about all this. Someone is using you. Believe me, ever since the Reaper first appeared, I've been doing my utmost to expose him. Or rather, expose the organization. Ah! It's a whole organization? It's inconceivable. Now all those accidents were orchestrated by one man? No. The Reaper always appears to have very accurate information about the accused in every case, which can only mean that somebody at Scotland Yard is involved. Someone that... You can't mean... It's taken me many years, but I finally identified the central figure in this Reaper organization. Tobias Gregson. No! No! Gregson, the Reaper? So, the reason you investigated Inspector Gregson is because you intended to expose him as the Reaper? As I said, the Reaper of the Bailey is no single person. It's a highly secret organisation and close ties to Scotland Yard. But there's no doubt that Gregson was a key member of that organisation. I don't believe it. Are you saying that he was behind all those awful criminals meeting them? Gregson didn't do the dirty work himself. Oh! He was the tactician. His job was to covertly investigate the pockmarks and plot their assassinations. In order to do that without arousing suspicion, he regularly needed a firm alibi, which is where Mr. Vigil came in, posing as the inspector. Vigil knows nothing of the Reaper, but the room he rents on Fresno Street was almost certainly the headquarters of the operation. Gregson would have met the assassin there for briefings. So we don't actually know who carried out the killings then. Come on, hiccups. Actually, I do have a name. You what? Well, if you can name the man, you have the true name of the Reaper already, then. Or if I can name the woman. Oh! She's a young woman by the name of Asa Shin. Brett! Wait, what? Shin? Miss Asa Shin, the true name of a terrifying killer I know only too well. She came to Japan posing as a visiting student and murdered Dr. John H. Wilson. Then, just when it seemed that diplomatic protection would help her escape Japan and conviction, the mysterious woman was herself murdered in a small summer beach hut And that woman was actually the Reaper of the Bailey? Mr. Naruto, this perhaps isn't the place to discuss. No, of course not. We can't mention it here. The fact that she killed Dr. John H. Wilson, because Iris doesn't know, and it's very likely that the man was her father. Asashin. I should let father know at once. Yes, I agree. Kazuma, isn't it? Kazuma Sogi. You say he's a friend of yours. My best friend. He's the whole reason I got to come to Britain. It was all on his merits. I have nothing but respect for him. Yes, I understand that only the very best students are selected for such opportunities. A fine demonstration of how sharp he is in the proceedings earlier today. He missed nothing. In fact, his flawless performance very much reminded me of his father, Kenshin Sogi, the professor. It's true that the aristocracy at the time was the root of numerous grave societal. What? Social? God, if I can vocal slip now. Problems, they were abusing that power, playing with the common man as pawns in politics, in economics and war. In many ways, Sogi was carrying out a canker for a society that we British couldn't deal with ourselves. I see. That's precisely why it makes no sense. Clint Von Zieks was a noble and upstanding man. He wasn't corrupt. Why did that damned Nipponese have to go and take my brother's life? In spite of having once saved mine. He saved your life? How did that happen? It was 10 years ago, on a foggy night. What was to be the professor's final strike had sent a wave of panic throughout the capital. So Clint Von Zieks had been killed at this point then. Genshin and I were walking down some back streets at a late hour. Of course, at that point, I had no idea of the true nature of the man at my side. All of a sudden... Don't make a peep, you're coming with us. We were surrounded. All of our assailants were armed with pistols, their faces obscured by scarves. Clint was not only from noble heritage, he was a brilliant prosecutor as well. The scum of London hated the sight of him, and they had no sympathy for his younger brother either. I'd been targeted several times before already. Yeah, it's Von Zieks, alright, we got him. I could hear them murmuring amongst themselves, and knew they were after. Just when I thought my time had come. I would laugh at Asashin. Nope. If I let them kill you, Clint would never forgive me. It was a Sogi's voice, just a whisper in my ear. After that, I don't remember exactly what happened. The next thing I knew, there was silence all around. Genshin lay on the cobbled street. Blood was seeping from his left hand. It shielded me. Two days later, they arrested him, on suspicion of being London's most notorious mass murderer ever, the Professor. How awful for you! All at once, I lost the brother I revered, and the foreign friend I held in such high regard. I'm so sorry, Lord Von Zieks. And that's the end of my miserable tale. I never thought I'd recount it to anyone. Well, thank you for confiding in me. The Professor, the Reaper, and Inspector Gregson. I wonder just how intimately related they all are. I still can't quite believe that Gregson was essentially the Reaper, giving assassination orders to Giselle Brett. Miss Naruto, let's go and inform my father. I'm sure the government will want to hear about this new information. Oh, that means I get to meet your daddy, Susie. Hooray! Yes, alright. Let's head back to the Great Waterloo Hotel then. I thought it yesterday, and I think it again today. This place is so princely. So I would guess, but I have a feeling you'll think the same tomorrow too. My tea has a finer fragrance than whatever they're serving in the tea room here, you know? Wouldn't you say? Ah, look who we have here. This is an unexpected pleasure. Ah! Father! Oh, is this your daddy, Susie? Oh, lovely. What a charming young lady! And you are? Ah, really? So you're the author of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, are you? That's me. I'm Miss Wilson at your service, sir. Susie's been such a wonderful friend to me over the last year. Well, Miss Wilson, I must say I read your work very regularly and with much interest. Iris actually lives with Mr. Sholmes, you know, Father? Is that so? Well, perhaps that goes some way to explain that bright look in your eyes. You wouldn't be smiling so heavily if you knew just how bright she is, believe me. Now then, young Navajo, it was a pleasure seeing you in action earlier. As an invitee of the symposium, I was allowed to observe from the gallery after Twisted Smiles, and I must say, it was a truly exemplary performance. Oh, well, thank you very much. Although I'm fairly sure you omitted by Cosima on the end there. No, please don't misunderstand. It was you who impressed me. Really? You didn't miss a step against Sogi, and we all know how capable he is. Really, to have matured in such a fine defense lawyer in less than a year is quite extraordinary. It's very kind of you to say so. Really nice to hear. What I saw in court today confirmed what I've been hoping for. The favour I mentioned yesterday, now heard of. I trust you haven't forgotten. Oh, no, you did mention something, didn't you? But first, we have something to report, Father. Of course. Shall we take tea while we discuss matters further? I wonder where Judge Jigoku has got to. Converse. I haven't seen Judge Jigoku for a while, have you? That guilty is still ringing in my ears. No, now you mention it, I haven't seen him since this morning either. I suppose since the symposium's opening was postponed, he'll have gone to explore the Great Exhibition. That reminds me of something you mentioned yesterday, about Judge Jigoku having once been in the dock himself. Ah yes, it was all tied up for that accursed trial. The closed trial of Cosmo's father. Seisho was trying to mitigate Genshin's guilt, so he took the stand to testify. But he got a little carried away and actually managed to break the witness stand. Oh my! He also said some contemptuous words about the British Empire for which he was charged. Oh dear, although it's worryingly easy to imagine him doing that. Well, it was alright in the end. He was acquitted and we returned home to Japan together. Thank goodness. Ah, yes, talking of Seisho. I have a copy of the photograph we all took together here yesterday. Please. Oh, what a lovely picture. Those aren't our outfits, though. It certainly seems to shout, we've arrived in Britain. The commemorative photograph has been entered into the court record. None of us had any idea what was coming when we took that, did we? No, that's so true. Father, do you know about the so-called Reaper of the Bailey? I've heard rumors. Some members of the judiciary explained all to me yesterday. Of course, when I was a visiting student here in London, the Reaper was yet to emerge. Right, he didn't appear until after that case when the visiting students slowly returned home. Lord Von Zeeks, who was in the dock today? That was Baroque, the younger brother of King Von Zeeks, I believe. That's right, and he's known throughout London as the Reaper, as you've heard. But the truth is, it wasn't him behind all of those mysterious deaths. It was somebody else. I see. So what you're saying is there's been a professional killer at work here? Exactly. Someone by the name of Asa Shin, in fact. I beg your pardon? Did you say Asa Shin? You mean that Giselle Brett woman who was responsible for killing my great friend? Oh no, a friend of yours was killed? Professor Mikotoba, I think perhaps we shouldn't discuss this right now. Because the friend the professor is talking about is Dr. John H. Wilson. That's not something we want Iris to find out about. Not like this, anyway. Ah, I've just remembered something. Biscuits. This hotel has the most delicious looking biscuits. That was rather out of the blue. She's doing this deliberately. I think I'll go and see if I can purchase some. I wonder, would you like to come too, Iris? Oh yes, she just tried to leave me behind. So that young girl is called Iris Wilson, is she? Yes, that's right. And she's the author of all those adventure stories starring the great Detective Sholmes. The name of the credited author isn't Iris, is it? It's Dr. John H. Wilson. Yes, I know. That's the name of her father, you see. Her father? Dr. John H. Wilson. I was deeply indebted to the man for all the kindness he showed me during my time in London. That's why I was keen to reciprocate and invite him to the Imperial Yume University 4 years ago. But he was murdered last year by Giselle Brett. Why? Why would that hand of the Reaper stretch all the way to Japan? They said London. They're in London. Iris knows nothing about that case, but it seems very likely that the victim, Dr. Wilson, was her father. Well, I can't say that we ever spoke about his family, so I don't know if he had a daughter or not. But I think I can say with some certainty that he was never the great detective's partner. So it could have been another Dr. Wilson, you think? Well, John and Wilson are both common names, after all. Still, it's probably best not to mention this to the young lady in the show. That's what we thought, yes. They're back with cinnamon biscuits. Oh, they smell delicious, Iris. Cinnamon always burns the mouth, though. I think cinnamon will go very well with the tea they serve here, don't you, Susie? Yes, I'm sure you're right, Iris. So, you mentioned a favour that you'd like to ask me? Well, this fateful trial that you're fighting, one way or another, it will be over before long. And when it is, I'd like you to accompany me back to Japan. You want me to do... What? Father? What's the meaning of this? Now, Susato, you should understand. You've seen how our courts work firsthand. Japan's judicial system is in its infancy, especially when it comes to defense. Oh, you mean the Supreme Court of Judicature is in deep, desperate need of a good defense lawyer. As soon as possible, really quite urgently, in fact. But I've not even been in London a year yet. I've read all of Susato's reports, I'm well aware of your extraordinary talents, and having seen you in action with my own eyes earlier today, there's no question, you, Naruhodo, are precisely the man our country needs. So, you'd be leaving then, Runo? But then, what am I supposed to do, Father? If he's judicious. Oh yes, she's supposed to be Cosmo's assistant. The government is still in the process of deciding how best to deal with this situation. You've always chosen your own path, Susato, and I trust your judgment. In this matter also. Father! Please, the pair of you, don't look so downcast. It's merely a suggestion, you understand? A hope, if I'm honest. But I won't force you. All I ask is that you consider it and come to a decision by the time this trial concludes. Yes, alright. You won't leave, will you, Runa? thought hadn't even crossed my mind. Up until now, I've just been trying to do what I believe to be Kazuma's will. Turns out that he's still alive, so where does that leave me? Well, if you'll excuse me now, I need to telegram government ministers and the Japanese police and this information about Asashini. Of course, Father. Thank you. I look forward to next month's installment, Miss Wilson. Oh good, and please, do come to Baker Street sometime, won't you? We'd love to entertain you. I would be delighted. The best of luck for tomorrow, Naruto. And give my suggestion your full consideration, won't you? Yes, I will. I'm back home. I don't mind the third one if it means going up against Ouchie with Rinosuke as the lawyer this time. You know, Kazuma-sama has always meant a great deal to my father. I'm sure he'd love the chance to meet with him and talk to him about all this. Yes, no doubt. Assassin. Of course! How could I have neglected to consider... How could I have neglected to consider the possibility before now? Ah, Mr. Sholmes! Early, where have you been? Why, I joined you all for tea, of course. What an extraordinary question. I didn't notice you at all. No matter, no matter. Anyway, to more pressing concerns. Miss Naruto. Oh, yes? I must dispatch a telegram to your country at once. It is a matter of much urgency. To Japan, you mean? Tell me, to whom can I entrust the task? Quickly now, who? Well... My father has just now left to send a telegram to the Imperial Police Bureau of Japan himself. I see. He looks reliable enough for a bearded fellow. Was this... Oh wait, mine's more stubble. I don't think what part of sports can be considered a beard, Mr. Sholmes. Yeah, that's like calling this a beard. Well, suspending the episode.